Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of the Our Girlington podcast, co-hosted by myself, Baba Rahim, and Maulana Sajid, who's the head of Masjid al-Umar, Paradise Academy, and Imam at Masjid al-Umar, also avid volunteer at Our Girlington. Today we have something which is very seasonal. We're going to be talking about bonfire night, fireworks safety, and just fire in general and safety and what we can do in our house to keep safe. Our guest today is Nasir Hussain, who's a district fire prevention officer. So I think a good place to start today is to ask, brother, what is the role of a fire prevention officer?
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, brothers. And first of all, I'll just give you a bit of background. I've been with the fire service now about 16 years. So I've had a few different roles. The district role basically is assessing risk in people's homes, working with partners, attending multi-agency meetings, road safety. We get involved with all these kind of things, and obviously keeps us busy.
Masha, so you said you get involved with us. So when you get to roadside safety, what sort of stuff do you do in roadside safety to do with fire prevention?
Well, that part of the role of a fire prevention officer, it'll have an aspect of road safety as well. So, at some point where there's a lot of accidents on a certain road, we'll pair up with agencies and see what we can do as multi-agency events to see whether we can curb down the accidents and give safety messages out and educate people.
MashaAllah. So, what are some of the dangers in the household? So, in a house to do with fire, what can we do to help prevent fires in the home?
Well, first of all, to prevent any home from fire, they should have smoke alarms. Every home should have a working smoke alarm. Now, we go into a lot of homes where there are no smoke alarms, or we get agencies referring to us, for the vulnerable people who don't have smoke alarms in their home. So we always recommend having one on each occupied level, one on each floor basically of your home. Now, there's all sorts of risks in the home. We've got people who smoke, people who drink alcohol, people that use drugs. Another big one is people that are hoarders. Now, the amount of things that they have piled up in their homes, there's a little pathway to get in and out of their house, and God forbid if there was a fire in their home, the fire spread would be massive, and it gives very little chance for the occupant to escape.
MashaAllah. So, so there's some people say that like I haven't got fire alarms because they keep going off and they're always false alarms. What would you say to people like that?
Well, at the end of the day, we get all sorts of queries from people saying that the smoke alarm keeps beeping for no reason. At the end of the day, it's an item that can go wrong and it can be replaced really quickly. Those that we give to people or fit, on there there's a special number. It's an 0800 number. If you're having issues with that alarm, all you can do is ring that number and tell them, obviously, you're having a problem with the smoke alarm. They'll ask you for a batch number, which is also on the back of the smoke alarm. That obviously tells them how old that smoke alarm is. So, we always get faulty batches from time to time, but, the manufacturer usually asks you for the batch number. They send you one straight back out in the post, and all you do is, obviously, they easily click off and they click back on again. So they can be replaced. And, me, myself, if somebody says to me, well, it's beeping or it's doing something and it's annoying me, well, do something about it. It's a fire safety aspect. It's an important aspect of your home.
Assalamu alaikum.
So, Walaikum Assalam.
Nice to have Brother Nazir on our show today. Uh, Brother Nazir, we've been working for a couple of years together now, and especially regarding fire safety. And, a few
Yeah,
weeks ago, we had somebody from the police officer. But it's very important that I think our community uh, respects and values these emergency services that we have and the work that they do tirelessly um, to save lives. And like you just mentioned, Nazir, it's a smoke alarm. It's a small thing, but sometimes we just neglect these things, and especially in our houses where we fry food, where we might wear a bit loose clothes, we might have a scarf or women wear scarves. They're very easy to catch fire too, and there have been cases and many cases where it starts from a little spark, but in
yeah,
seconds a whole room could be on fire, and
that's right.
with devastating effects. And so I think it's very nice to have you guys on the show today, and especially highlight to our community, especially what day-to-day dangers do we face in our houses, and how can we prevent these things. So Jazaka for joining us, Nazir bhai.
Inshallah, no problem. Any time for you, Sajid bhai. Um,
MashaAllah.
Obviously, like I said, going back to the risks, there can be a number of risks, and especially within our BME community homes, we use woks, the kadai. We use these in the kitchen where we leave cooking unattended. We wear loose clothing, which can catch fire if you're too close to the cooker. Uh, we dry clothes in front of gas fires, which they shouldn't do. A number of things really. All these are safety aspects, and they need to, have a routine where they're checking things and making sure that they're not putting themselves or the family at risk. Now, you know, we always go into a home, and when we leave, we give them a nighttime routine, to check electrics, closing doors, give advice on all that, and we give you an escape plan as well. So we will look into every corner of your home and every room, and if we see any risks, we'll advise you of the risk, whether you take that advice or not. It's our duty as a fire officer to tell you, this is a fire risk. People use tumble dryers. That's a big one now. They use tumble dryers, but they don't actually clean the filters on them. So this is the major fault in these tumble dryers, where they can catch fire if you don't, you know, clean the filter, because it builds up with all the floss and fluff in there. So closing doors, people say, we don't close doors at night. Is there any relevance to that? Well, yes, there is, because on a night time when you go to sleep, the last time, the last room you're going to use is probably your living room and your kitchen downstairs. If anything happens in them rooms and the door's wide open, it makes its way up to you and traps you. So smoke, fire can spread if doors are left open a lot quicker, and they will trap you. So that's why we will say close your doors at night. Whatever happens in that room stays in that room. You can safely get out, you can walk past it. Switch off unnecessary electrics. People leave mobile phone chargers on all night. God knows why they do that. Firstly, you're destroying the battery life of your phone, and secondly, it can get very hot and catch fire. Whatever needs to be switched off, switch it off. At the end of the day, you're paying the electric bill, and you're just adding to the electric bill. So if you add that by 365 days a year, that money is better off in your pocket than paying an extra 40, £50 a year unnecessarily.
Plus, Nazir bhai, the shooting the doors again. We neglect here. We think it's not a big thing, but like you said, that could be somebody life being saved and fire people reaching that house and getting the people out. If the doors are
Well,
open, obviously the fires will just spread.
if the doors are left open, it'll spread to every room and damage every room, every part of your house. Whereas if it's contained in one room and there's no air in that room, no windows are open, it will eventually, die out and it'll stay in that room. It won't spread. You know, I've been
And
into a lot of homes where I've seen the fire spread, and it's like, you know, where doors have been left open and it's gone into the hallway, it's gone into the kitchen, up the stairs. You know, the walls are all singed. You can see how much damage it's done. That smell remains there for months and months.
and Naziba, I
How long
think
would
like
it take?
so
Oh,
sorry,
Maulana.
Baba. I was saying I was talking to Naziba just the other day, and he was just mentioning how we went into a house and just the back door was just covered by the fridge, and
Yeah,
so there was no escape route. You know,
people don't realize, you know, when we go into a home, we'll say to them, look, you've got two doors. That's two potential escape routes for you. Now, you know, like I said to Sajid Bhai, there was a door, and in front of the door was a fridge. So I said to the lady, you know, how are you going to get out if the other side is trapped? That's your only way out. But you've got a fridge there. And she goes, I got no space for it. But they didn't think of the fire safety aspect. And then she clicked when I said, you know, if there's a fire in your home, where are you going to go? How are you going to get out? You know, if your front door is, you know, you can't get out of it because there's a fire in that area and your only choice is the back door, are you going to move a fridge out of the way to get out? I don't think you're strong enough to move that fridge. So you have to look at, you know, all your escape routes. Basically, your hallways are your escape routes. Keep all your escape routes clear from any clutter, any hoarding. You know, you could be faced in a situation where there's no electricity during the night and it's dark. Okay, you might be using your phone as a torch, but you don't want to be tripping over things and falling over things. If all your hallways full of things and you're falling, you could injure yourself or even hurt yourself. It could trap you.
and Naziba, the fire service. Obviously, when we were little kids, you wake up. Well, you used to watch Fireman Sam, and you know it used to be exciting. And so, I just want to know if a person wants to pursue a career into the becoming a fire, mm, a fireman. Is it
Yeah.
easy? Is it is it worth it? And what are the potentials?
Well, at the moment, obviously, we do lack BME community in the fire service, especially operational firefighters. So, you know, we have a website. If they go on there, they'll get to know everything they need to know on what to do to apply, what is involved, what tests are incurred, you know, and they'll even invite you down, you know, when they have these open days, especially when they're recruiting for firefighters. You can apply, do the test. You can go to the headquarters in Berkshire, and they will put out, you know, and then simulate what firefighter does and what it involves. So it's all on our website, and when they recruit, it will tell you on the website, you know, that they're recruiting. So always keep an eye out on the website. I'll give you the website address, Sajid Bhai. It's
And Naziba,
www.
becoming a firefighter, uh, obviously it's a dangerous job. And um, do you think our people fear going into such careers, or
Well, we don't really know what the problem is or why there's so little coming in. You know, there's going to be more recruitment and more drive for these BME communities to look into this career because it is a good career. It is dangerous. Don't get me wrong, it is dangerous, but you will have expertise training, you know, and you won't be passed out until you've passed all your probationary period. So there's a lot of hard work to go through in the first 2 years.
So going back to fire safety and fires in house, brother. So how long would it take? Let's say that there's a fire in, let's say, a living room. How long would it take for that fire to spread?
Right. A fire can spread. Depends what's in that room. It'll take you about 3 minutes.
Three
3 to
minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah, it'll spread very quickly in that room. But if you leave
Wow.
a door open, it'll spread a lot quicker. And if there's windows open and there's air feeding it, then you're looking at a shorter length of time. That's why when
Wow.
your
And then
smoke alarm activates, that's your warning to get out, because your smoke alarm will activate in the first 30 seconds, 30 to 50 seconds. And that's your early warning to say, look, there's a problem. Either there's a fire or it could be a faulty smoke alarm, but you treat it as though it's an emergency. Check it out and find out, what it is.
And you potentially from that point only have minutes to get out, right?
You've got minutes to get out, yeah. That's why the smoke alarm activates with a bit of smoke, and as soon as it activates, there's still time for you and your family to get out.
So moving on from that. So in essence, before you go to sleep, you need to kind of plan things, or already have a plan for where your keys are, and how
That's
to
right.
fully get out of the house, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Really
You
interesting.
should always have your keys somewhere, where you can get quick access to your keys. So, like for instance, I went to somebody's house and I said to the person, "Where do you keep your keys?" And she said, "The kitchen drawer." And I said, "But if there's a
Oh,
fire
wow.
in your kitchen, how do you go into your kitchen to get your keys to get out?" And then she
Yeah.
realized, and she goes, "I never thought of that." But we never think of these things. So the best place for you to put your keys is somewhere on a hook nearby. Some people keep them in the door, somewhere where you don't, if you're in a panic situation and you start looking for your keys and you don't know where
You're not
they
gonna
are,
find them.
you're not going to find them. It's going to be, you haven't got the time to look for your keys.
And in that panic situation, adrenaline is going to be running. You're going to be in a heightened state. You're just
That's right.
going to
Yeah.
find it. You don't
And
find them at the best of times when you lose them.
no, that's why when we visit a property, they realize it and they kind of wake up to a lot of things, and they'll say, "You know what, you know, it might sound like, it's not good advice, but actually when you think about fire safety, it is very good advice, because we don't think of these things. We think about home security and we think about locking our doors and everything, but we don't think about in a situation where there could be a fire in your house.
Really,
And what do we do?
you mentioned a couple of times. You mentioned a couple of times where you've gone to people's house and you've investigated and you kind of had some sort of inspection. What's that? And is it something that people can book, or is it paid? Is it free? What's that about?
Yeah, what we call them now safe and well visits. So not everyone can, qualify them. It's mainly for the vulnerable people. So, people that have had an alcoholic smoking background, hoarders, people that have been in hospital because they've had a stroke and it's, their mobility is now very slow, or they're sleeping upstairs, or they're now in a wheelchair. We will go and give them advice on best way to get out, or to stay put in a safe room until the emergency services arrive. But you have to go online and you have to complete a safe and well request. So
Okay.
you have to answer the questions. At the end of that, it will tell you if you qualify for a visit or not.
Okay. So, a hypothetical situation: fire alarm goes off. You come down the stairs. You've done the right thing where you've shut all the doors, but you can't. You can smell a bit of smoke, from the kitchen, and you think, "Oh, it might just be something small."
Yeah.
Do you go in to investigate, or do you leave it for the fire brigade? What do you do?
No, you don't put yourself at risk, because you don't know what's behind that door, remember. So what you do is you the emergencies and let them come and deal with it. Even if it's a false alarm, it doesn't matter. You've not put yourself and your family at risk, have you?
Yeah.
That's
All
why
this, all this.
even when you get up out of bed, you don't know what's behind that door when you open your bedroom door. So that's why we always say, feel the door handle with the back of your hand. If it's hot or warm, it's a good indication then that there's a heat source or fire at the other side of that door.
So
don't
sorry,
just
guys.
open the doors.
I lost my internet, but I'm back on.
Yeah,
mashallah.
you don't just open the door and dash out. You would have to put your hand behind that door handle, feel it in that area. If it's hot or warm, then you know that you're stuck in that room. So you dial for the emergency services and stand by the window and wait until somebody comes to get you. You know, they'll stay on the phone with you so that you don't panic and you don't do anything silly.
Nazir bhai, so much a part of your work, do you go into schools and mosques to raise the awareness of all the dangers of fire?
Yeah, as you know, Sajid Bhai, we've been coming into your mosque on a number of occasions, like last year or the year before. Not just for bonfire, but for fire safety as well. You know, there's fire crews go out to all year five primary schools, and they do a fire safety input there. So
Bobby,
we
it was
do.
amazing because last couple of years they brought a fire engine outside Masjid Umar, and we got the kids, the boys and the girls, to look at a fire engine, what it consists of, and then the fire officers they came inside and they did a little assembly to the kids, and I think it's quite good because then the kids really connect and realize that this is a service in our community that is valuable, and we've got to respect, and also that just God forbid, but if there's ever an emergency, you can always call upon them, and they're always there. And so, especially our kids get really excited when they see the fire engine and they see the officers come in their suits,
Yeah, because
and I think
they're
yeah,
amazed on
sorry,
what they see on the fire engine.
yeah.
Well, you've seen
And
yourself,
I
Sajid
think,
Bhai.
Nazir, by only by familiar, I think that's part of what we're trying to do here, our girl into the Muslim world, is that get our community to familiarize themselves with the police, with the fire officers, with the hospitals. So in case you ever need these services, they're there, and same time we have a relationship with them that we get along with, and I think just by that connection, then people realize, wow, sometimes, and I think we will talk about this topic, especially when we see bonfire time. We see, unfortunately, some antisocial behavior against the fire services, against the police, and which
Yeah,
is not nice, because especially when somebody's in danger or somebody's life in danger, and those emergency services need to get there, and they're being stuck because some people are being nuisance, or not allowing these fire services to get to the people that they need to, then it can be very dangerous, and we can be putting people's lives at risk. So I think only by this connection that we do have, this friendship that we do have, that kids then value. Oh yes, we've got to respect, and we've got to honor these people because they sacrifice their lives for us guys. And again, there's been numerous even examples in our community where we've seen like houses go up in smoke, and had the fire engine people not got there in time, the whole house could have come down. People could have lost their lives,
well,
but because of
this is what people need to realize. You see, communities need to realize that they are there doing a job for your families, basically. You know, if you're damaging a fire engine or bricking it, you're taking away that fire engine, and then another one has to come further away. So that's adding time to the journey, in which time it could be too late for people in the household. You know, the families, they could be at more risk because we've now added another 7 minutes onto that journey because one fire engine is being bricked on its way.
Mm.
And I think Baba, that leads on to the next question, especially with bonfire coming up, and sometimes with the antisocial behavior we see in our communities, and people, instead of shooting fireworks up in the air, they start shooting at our people, at cars, and even we've had instances where people post them through letterboxes, and they just don't think how dangerous these acts are, and it's very selfish. And then on top we start shouting, "Oh, we're Muslims and we're this, that," and this is not an act of a Muslim and not a behavior of a Muslim. And I know for the last few years, the mosques have worked well with the fire people to patrol the streets, especially during bonfire nights, the safety of people houses. Even the animals are not safe during this period, and it's scary because okay, as a Muslim, a bonfire is just a ritual that happens, and it has nothing to do with Islam. But if somebody, if you want to go and see a display, go and see a display. But be safe and secure, or don't harm people or don't hurt people around you.
No, I mean, I think it's good in a way now that this year there's no organized bonfires due to COVID. So it should restrict the youngsters, from getting out. And then with us having further restrictions put on nationally, it should stop all these youngsters gathering together and being antisocial. Only yesterday we had two youths in the Barkrend area. One threw a firework at a police officer. Uh,
Wow.
he was then subsequently chased, and they grabbed him. Okay, but his friend decided to put a brick through the windscreen of the police car. So
Wow.
he was also caught in a nearby street. So them two are now obviously going to appear in court for that, and they treat it very seriously because you're attacking a uniformed personnel there, and
And
then
the Nazima, the example I give, I remember, Alhamdulillah, my mom's alive, but a couple of years ago, she suffered a stroke and she's bedbound now. But what happened was, especially on the radio, I used to always hear about if somebody's suffering a stroke, you need to act immediately. And I remember when she was going through that, and I saw my mom, one side of her face became loopy and, she was struggling.
the signs.
So straight away, I rang 999. I thought this is a stroke. I better ring. And they after they said, look, it's good thing you rang immediately. Otherwise, a second later, a few seconds later, and she might not be here. Do you understand? So you realize how those seconds are valuable, especially these fire, ambulance, police, and it's okay. We think, oh yeah, we're having a bit of fun and stopping an ambulance or a fire service or whatever. But had it happened in our house, one of our members or families that are suffering, God forbid, a fire set off in our house, we'll desperately want a fire engine quickly to get there, or an ambulance person to get there. And it's so sad that when we're attacking these things, we don't think about those things, because always in life, whatever goes around will come around. One day you will need an ambulance, and one day you'll need a police, you'll need a fire engine
Yeah,
outside your house. And the thing is, uh, you don't want to see these things, and it's very unfortunate. Especially, I remember last year in Leeds, I think Bradford done well for the last year, but Leeds, we saw how the fire crew got attacked and everything. So it's a very sad situation, and especially during this period. And I think people should take responsibility of their actions. And at the end of the day, like you said, hopefully this year will be a lot more calmer. But even then, I think we should always plead and say to our community, look, guys, okay, fireworks are there, but fireworks itself are dangerous. To me, I'm always scared of fireworks. And the thing is, you know, um, stay safe. Be at home. That's the best place to be, and
at
should
the
make
end of
sure
the
other
day,
people.
it's parents as well. It's their responsibility to have control on the kids as well. You need to know where your child is at 11 o'clock at night. My child is at home. Where's your child? If they're out roaming the streets, this is where they get into the wrong crowds, and then they start mixing with these people and they start doing bad things. And that child might be really good, but because they're hanging around with other youth that are causing mischief, then you know it carries forward to them as well. They're part of that group. Peer pressure, all that antisocial behavior, they get drawn into that. So it's up to parents as well to monitor their children and keep an eye on the kids and make sure that they are safe and they are at home, especially in this time now with COVID going on.
And at the
The
end of the
child
day, if
should
they
be.
get caught, they'll have a criminal record against them. And why risk it just for a small firework, or just for a little bit of fun? Well, what they perceive to be fun.
Well, at the end of the day, the uniformed services have had enough now. There's a bill that's gone through Parliament now. If you attack any crews, any uniformed personnel, fire, ambulance, police, there's quite a severe sentence behind it as well. because they won't be tolerated anymore. Before, all you got was a bit of a warning. Not now. You're going to be expected to go to court for something. They're not going to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Well, don't do it again," but we're going to keep an eye on you. No, they're going to make sure that you learn your lesson, that you've attacked some emergency personnel, and they're there to save your life and your community's life. They're there doing a job, and a very good job. So why are you going around pestering them or insulting them or causing antisocial behavior and attacking them? There's absolutely no need for it.
And the last few years, last couple of years, Alhamdulillah, I think last year we had a great success here in Girlington, and the year before, because there was a lot of awareness that went on. We had meetings with the police, with the fire services. We went round a few Jummas before, making announcement in the masjids. The parents got the message, the children got the message. Then we had the fire crews coming around, so even the kids. So I think
Well,
the reason we tried. Sorry.
if you remember, Sajid, by not last year, the year before, we had Channel 4 out as well.
Yeah.
Right, and Channel 4 were expecting to come into Bradford and see the doom and gloom that's going on, during bonfire night, because they were at Fairweather Green fire station, and they were actually filming live on a fire engine. So every call they got, the Channel 4 crew were going on there as well, on the fire engine, to see if crews were getting attacked and everything. But alhamdulillah, because of all the work that you guys and all the community and all the volunteers have put in, safeguarded all the streets, all the Girlington pub, other areas, they were absolutely shocked to find that they said it's been a very quiet night, and what are these guys doing? And then if you remember, they interviewed the volunteers from Al Mustafa just at the bottom of Girlington pub, asking them why they're doing this and what purpose is it for. And they were absolutely shocked that we came here to write a good story, if you like, but they got the opposite. It was really quiet.
And I think that's why this year we've got to carry on that the messages that, please, guys, everybody in the community, please be safe for yourself, for your family members, and make sure other people around you are safe. And that's a Muslim duty, that he doesn't just look after his own interests, but he looks after others. And especially being the month of Rabiul Awwal, in the month which our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born in, and we hear the message from Milad Mehfils and everything. Who our Prophet was. And our Prophet was the one that cared for others, and he would always have the hurt of the people at the forefront. And he would always, like he gave the message that if your neighbor's hungry, make sure you add some more water so they can have food and they shouldn't go to sleep hungry. And our Prophet was the one that cared for people around them. So, and that's the message of Rabiul Awwal, that as Muslims, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, that the Prophet was sent as a mercy to the whole of mankind, not just the Muslims, but the whole of mankind, to the non-Muslim, to everybody. So, and as a representative of Islam and the Prophet ﷺ, we should make sure that people are safe in our community, and people are secure, and people should feel safe, not worried that somebody might send a firework through their letterbox. Or we had incidents last year where sometimes there were the odd where at roadside people would be shooting fireworks, and this is all wrong, and it's against the teachings of Islam, our Prophet ﷺ. So we should be teaching, especially now we've seen what's happening in France and throughout the world. Let's send a positive message that Muslims are those people that follow in the footsteps of Prophet ﷺ, and he was the one that cared for the whole of mankind. So we should also send these messages that people, especially we're all going through difficult times in this current climate, especially with the lockdown coming as well. So we should make sure we look after our neighbors, look after people around us. We should ask about them. Are you okay? Do you need anything? We should help people during these difficult times, not be a nuisance or promote the wrong things. And I think it's very, very important.
So, brother,
Inshallah.
you said earlier that there's going to be no uh, bonfire nights officially held. Like usually the council hold one, and there's a couple of bonfire displays officially. So, what would your advice be if someone wanted to hold a personal one? So, if I want to put one in my garden, for example, and say, actually, I want to
Right.
put some stuff together, and I want to. So, what would you say to that?
Well, firstly, I would never recommend you having a bonfire in your own garden. You know, it's very dangerous to have it in your own garden. It's very close to your home. It's very close to your neighbour's home. The fire could get out of control. Um, there's lots of issues. You know, other neighbours might join in and start throwing rubbish onto there, saying, let's burn this and let's burn that. You don't know what's burning or what fumes are coming from there. So them fumes are now going into people's homes where windows are open. And at the end of it, the fire service will turn up, deem it unsafe, put water all over it, and then you won't light it again. But why would you want to do that in your own garden? I don't understand. If you've got rubbish that you need to get rid of, do what everybody else does and take it to the tip. People seem to think that because it's bonfire night, it gives us a certificate to go out and start burning rubbish. It's not. It's called fly tipping. You go out and dump any of your rubbish in the local park where there's a bit of a bonfire going on. You are potentially breaking the law. And let me tell you another thing. This year, like last year, Bradford Council will be out and they'll be taking photos of where this is happening. Okay. And they will be prosecuting you because, it's against the law. You shouldn't be doing it.
Okay, so I think that's a pretty stern warning, which kind of resonates with all of us. So, what about fireworks? So we want to set off some fireworks. What are some measures we should take about fireworks?
Well, if you're adamant, obviously, if you want to buy fireworks, first of all, make sure that you're 18 and over, and you should only be purchasing them if you're 18 years or over. If you go into any shop, you send a 14-year-old in the shop, and the shopkeeper gives you the fireworks, he's breaking the law as well. Okay, so we've got trading standards who work with the police and the fire service. Where these shops are identified, the police will pay a visit there with trading standards, and then they will seize all the fireworks from that premise so that they can't sell anymore and they'll be prosecuted. Okay, but if you as a parent want your child to have some fireworks, then the parent should be purchasing them. Secondly, you should be obviously every firework has instructions on how to use and safe use of it. Now, there's many fireworks out there. There's different ones you can buy. It depends on what they want to buy. Now, you still have to keep your family at a distance when you want to, activate these fireworks or use them. So there are chances there as well that somebody could get hurt if they don't know what they're doing with fireworks. Secondly, we're still having what we call the white vans turning up in streets and selling fireworks. These are even more dangerous. So if you think, oh, I'm not going to buy any fireworks from the shop because they're £20, but the van keeper selling them for £5, you don't know what you're buying, because as soon as you light that firework, it could explode in your face. They are not registered fireworks, and they're not being, British kite marks. They don't have that CE stamp on them, so you don't know what you're buying. For your child's
And is
safety,
there
for your
is there a lot of
safety.
that, Nazir, on the market?
Yes, every year, the police are aware of it, and last year they stopped a van on Oak Lane. They seized the whole van.
And we've had cases where people have, unfortunately, um, they haven't lit the fiber properly, and then they've gone back to see what's happening, and next minute it's exploded in their face, or they've burnt their
Well,
hands. And
that's what
I
you get
remember
from
many years ago,
buying.
one of my own friends he burnt his whole hand, and then we remember going to hospital, and for a good year or so, his hand was in a bad state.
Yeah. I mean, all fireworks should have the appropriate CE mark, which is like a British standard kite mark, to say it's been tested and it's safe. Any fireworks you buy that have got foreign language on it, it's a no-no. You shouldn't even be buying that, because you don't know what it's capable of doing. You're putting yourself at risk if you're buying anything like that, because it's cheap.
So
Even these sparklers,
Sorry,
Nazir,
say
by
again.
sparklers as well.
Sparklers as well. I mean, they should be bought from reputable retailers, and obviously, the parents should be, if a child under 5 shouldn't be really holding any sparklers. And they've got to be wearing gloves as well, to be safe.
Gee, Baba, you had a question.
Yeah, Maulana Sahab, I did a second ago. But the question has gone.
You lost a question. And
I lost the question.
Nazir bhai, sometimes like when the bonfire nights, I remember once driving past White Abbey Road. It was on those infirmary fields. They had a bonfire, and I was sat in the car, and just from that distance, I could feel the heat in my car. And sometimes it makes you think about the fire of the hereafter. That in some narration of hadith that is mentioned that the fire of hereafter will be 70 times more hotter than the fire of this world. And so then a person thinks that, look, I'm stood next to this fire and at a distance, and look, I can feel the heat. Yeah, so sometimes you learn lessons that at the end of the day, as a Muslim, if I'm going to buy all these fireworks, whatever, spend 20, 30, people spend hundreds of pounds. Yeah, you see the nice glamour and it goes up in the air, the nice decorations they give, but it's like some people give the example, your hundreds of pounds are just going up in the air. And then it's also the safety aspect of it as well. And so it's sometimes something we should consider and learn lessons from as well.
Yeah, I mean, we should all abide by the law, keep within the law, and keep yourselves safe from it. If you're going to buy a firework, read the instructions on it and use it safely. But I think this year we're going to see very little of that, because there won't be that much activity going on in the streets. But having said that, up until now, there's still a lot of youngsters on the streets, and they are messing with fireworks.
As the most of the question I was going to ask was around time. So on occasions like this, you see fireworks going off until like very late in the night. And especially this year, I believe Bonfire Night is going to be on. What day is it going to be on?
5th of November, Thursday.
On a Thursday. It's going to be Thursday. So the school the next day. So what do we say about, or what would we advise the community about timing? What's the latest time you should be letting fireworks off, or getting people back indoors if you've got kids, and stuff like that?
Well, there is time regulations for fireworks, at certain times of the year. So, after around 11, 12 midnight, there shouldn't be any fireworks going off. And if you are, you're breaking the law. At the same time, these shops that sell fireworks have a license to sell them only for that period. But some shops have a license all year round to sell fireworks on, for the different occasions. People celebrate and they use fireworks. So some shopkeepers just have a license for throughout that period. But for instance, if a shop is found to be selling illegal fireworks, but they've had a license issued by the fire service as well through our protection fire team, they can revoke that the following year, because they know that they've been caught selling illegal fireworks in the shop, and they've had their fireworks seized. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts. If you're going to do it, then you do it properly. You keep within the law and you keep within the, parameters of buying fireworks and selling them.
And Nazir bhai, you just mentioned after 11 o'clock. Did that rule not apply when it comes to New Year's Day?
I think for New Year's Day, that's on midnight. So after midnight, really, you won't hear much after the initial after 12 when it goes off the clock. It doesn't apply after that.
Okay. Anyway, that's a good point that Baba's just mentioned, and again, sometimes we see in our Asian weddings, what people do is after the wedding, and when do they decide to people? They decide about 12 o'clock at night. Everybody's gone to bed, and people start setting off fireworks. And again,
Yeah,
no consideration of anybody in the whole community and the whole. It could be some house in Girlington, but the whole of Girlington can hear now these loud fireworks going off. And again, I can tell you a story. There's a family in Girlington who's a young lad. He's been married for several years, and he's got uh, children that are ill, and he makes sure his child goes to sleep at 7 o'clock. And he said to me, Imam Sab, one day what happened was, as soon as somebody did a firework 12 o'clock at night, but she woke up and she couldn't get back to sleep. And then next day, my wife couldn't go into work. I couldn't go into work because she didn't have a rest. And so sometimes we don't consider these things. We don't consider the elders in the community. We don't consider families or people going to school the next day or anything. We're just thinking, no, it's my party, my fun day, my day of celebration, and whether it's 12 o'clock at night, whatever, and we're just gonna let off these fireworks, and the whole of Girland, the whole of Bradford can hear these fireworks, and there's no consideration.
I mean, it's wrong to do fireworks at that time of the night. You're not considering the general public. You're not considering your neighbours, people that have to work in the morning, people that are asleep, that have to go to school. They don't take these things into consideration.
And Naziba, not only that, every probably household you disturbed or got angry, you become sinful for each individual. And not only that, you're not going to get du'as from the people, but you're going to get badwa. They're gonna be sending badwa against you. They're gonna say, who the hell is this, and swearing at you as well. So it's just it's not a nice
But then
thing to do.
at the same time, you've got the police turning up to these incidents where
Have we lost Nazir bhai?
It looks like we have more Nasir. So it looks
So
like we're
anyway,
coming up to the hour mark.
yeah. So we could.
Yeah, so if we just wrap up more Nasir, if you had any closing comments, any advice to the community out there, the upcoming Bonfire Night, Nasir, what would that be?
Yeah, first of all, it was nice to have Nazir bhai on here from the fire service, and I think one of the reasons we got him, usually, I think Nazir bhai popping up again.
Did you lose me there? Connection?
Yeah, we lost you. We thought you had to go on emergency call or something.
No.
Yeah.
Some
So
fireworks
Nazir
going
bhai,
off in
Brother
background.
Baba was just saying that as we're coming towards our hour mark, what closing remarks, comments you have to the community, what advice you'll give?
Sorry, say that again.
So some closing comments or some advice for the whole community during the bonfire period.
I mean, some advice would be to obviously stay indoors. My advice would be to keep your youngsters and siblings indoors. There's nothing going on this year. There's no fireworks going on. In the local areas, I think there's nothing happening. There's nothing's been arranged. There's no demonstrations happening this year. So why put yourself and your kids in danger by going out onto the streets just to have a look around? I don't see the sense in going out onto the streets to see if anything's happening. There is no organized bonfires this year. You know, don't even go to somebody who's having a bonfire in the garden. I mean, that's just stupid. Um, keep yourself safe and look after one another. Fire safety, the advice I've given over fire safety, look at your own home, look at where improvements can be made. If you don't have smoke alarms, get them in straight away, immediately. And you can go on our website, and usually you can request a safe and well visit if you fit the criteria. Keep yourself safe, protect your families.
Maulana Saab, closing comments from yourself?
Yeah, like I was saying, Baba, mashallah, it's nice to have Nazir by from the fire service just to send out that message, especially about safety, and don't take fire lightly because as soon as it spreads, it can kill people. And we've seen it numerous times in our own communities. The fire is not a toy to play with, nor are fireworks. So, like all the advice that Nasiba is given, we should take heed to. And like this year, lockdown will start on Thursday. Please stay home, stay safe. That's the message that we can give out. And as a Muslim, we should always, like I said, is the month of Rabiul Awwal, be considerate of others. And I always say, if you can't help anybody, don't hurt anybody. So if we can't benefit people during this period, but at least let's not harm people because we'll just become sinful for no reason. So let's stay safe, let's stay home, and make sure we're safe and other people around us are safe as well. And I think that's the strongest message we can give. And I think the main thing is take a lesson from all this fireworks. Especially one day we will stand in front of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and we'll have to give account of all of our deeds. And remember, for a Muslim, we know that there's Jannat or Jahannam, and that's going to be the biggest bonfire that there is, and that bonfire is going to be lit up by the fuel of that bonfire are going to be people. Do you understand? We're going to be the fuel of that bonfire. So, may Allah save us all from the fire of Jahannam. But, when we do antisocial behavior and nuisance towards others or disrespectful towards other people, then unfortunately, these are actions that are not of a Muslim. And these are actions that will lead to the fire of hell. May Allah save us all from all these evils and all these fitnas. May Allah safeguard us, and let us learn a lesson and let us be considerate towards others, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So I'd like to also say thank you to Brother Nasir for coming on and enlightening us with some of the experiences he's had and some of the services that we can obviously obtain and some of the guidance. Mashallah, thank you so much. So just some closing comments. Masjid Umar is obviously still building the masjid even through these difficult times. So if you'd like to donate, if you across the bottom of our screen, you can see the ticker, which has got the masjid sort code, account number, if you want to do it that way. If you want to do the GoFundMe, that's there as well. Or if you want to reach out to Brother Zulfikar, he'll arrange a COVID safe way to get that money from you if you're good old fashioned want to do it in cash. So he'll sort that out for you. If you're liking some of this content that's coming out, please like and subscribe. And inshallah, every week we'll try putting something out. Next week we're gonna do a Rabiul Awwal special, inshallah. So rather than a topic, we're gonna just be doing, we're going to be doing nasheeds about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to celebrate. And then, inshallah, we're going to have Hafiz Ahmadullah, who's going to be joining us, and he's going to be doing some nasheeds with us. And I'm sure Maulana Saab will say some words in that podcast. So join us next week at 7 o'clock, inshallah.
I think also check out Hafiz Ahmadullah on YouTube, and if you got any requests, you can make some requests so that he can sing a nasheed or a naat for you, inshallah. So there's going to be a Rabiul Awwal special in praise of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Hafiz Ahmadullah is a very mashallah up and coming nasheed artist. So it'll be an honor to have him on board and just to listen to him recite Quran and some naats regarding Nabi Sallallahu and some nasheeds, inshallah. So I check him out on YouTube. Any requests that you want, inshallah, he'll be performing live, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. And just messages on Facebook or on Facebook if you want to put them requests in. So, thank you for everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.